Earlier it was at 50, now it's in the 70. In this review, I'm actually going to be talking about one of my favorite traders and favorite DVDs. I've talked about this before on previous episodes, but now I'm actually going to give you a full in-depth review of the actual program, and that is Tim Grittani's Trading Tickers. Now, I'm going to call it a DVD because I don't know other than a streaming video, right? It's a streaming video, streaming DVD. And it was by far one of my favorites, if not, actually, it is my favorite. And the reason it's my favorite is it kind of shed the light to me what a real trader is. Because it gives you actual examples of him trading live, him losing, him winning. And it felt like I was sitting next to him instead of actually watching it online. And that was something I've never experienced before when it came to watching a course. Most courses out there, they'll give you like this big picture and they'll show you just pictures of charts and it's all hindsight. Whereas this DVD was all during the moment live action, which is a lot different. And there's some other courses out there that kind of do live action that I've watched before, but they're nothing like this. And this is, of course, my opinion, but this really kicked me off into a good head start, at least when it comes to trading, because I watched so many courses and I was not finding success. And this is the course that I had to watch it. Though granted, I had to watch it tons of times. I've seen it so many times, it's ridiculous. But I love it. And it's really helped me, shape what kind of trader I am. Not that I'm a mimic of Tim Grittani, but I took a lot of good things away from it and have implemented in my trading. Now, with that being said, I want to give you a general overview of what the DVD is about. Of course, it's about day trading. His focus is short selling. There is some long setups that he goes over, mainly on OTC and major daily breakouts. We'll go into that in a minute here, but it's mainly focused heavily on shorting. There's about two long setups that he talks about and shares examples on as well. Now, with that being said, if you're a new trader, you're new to day trading, this course does give you a background. He explains, where his journey started, where he is today, but then he talks about what trading is, what brokers you should look at, and then he goes into key terms that you should know as a day trader that might come up during chat rooms and so forth. And he gives you the whole layout so that way you have somewhat of a background. Now, by any means, this is not going to be like you watch this DVD and you're good to go and you're on your way to make money, because no DVD is like that. You have to watch it many, many times. And so that's something I want to let you know, that no matter what DVD you watch, there will still be times where you have to rewatch it. And it might not be a good fit for you. You might take some things away. And you might evolve completely as a trader, but trust me when I say this will be by far one of the cleanest DVDs you watch and the best information you'll get. And this is, of course, my opinion. Now, one thing that he talks about is he gives you ideas of how he handles risk. And that's something I really appreciate, because not only does he give you examples of how to handle risk, but he actually shows it to you live while he's in trades. And he shows when he doesn't stick to his plan, because he's all about plan, right? So you create a plan, you stick to your plan. He shows examples, of course, probably not on purpose, but by accident, right? He was trading live where he didn't stick to his plan and it bit him in the you-know-what, right? And because of that, it was very eye-opening, because I'm assuming he recorded his screens and then he added commentary after the fact. And when he does that, it kind of gives you a perspective of, number one, the value of recording your own screen. If you don't do that, I recently started doing that and it does make a difference. But number two, it just shows you that you're not going to be perfect. Even Tim Grittani makes mistakes. Even he breaks rules. But you got to forgive yourself. And I've talked about that before. So it kind of made him more human to me, because I was like, okay, he made a mistake. He broke his own rules that he said on the DVD. And he actually talks about that in the course itself that he's not perfect. But more times than not, his goal is to trade his process. So some of the actual setups that he shares on his course is overextended gap downs. This is one of my favorite patterns. It has evolved over the years, but pretty much is the same in general. So if it's something that you're interested in, and to give you an example, it's something that's run up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days in a row, sometimes only 1 day in a row, but it's overextended. It's an overextended chart. Maybe it's up 100%, 200%. And you've seen these before. They don't happen all the time, but they do happen. But he shows you many examples of him trading these type of setups when they open red, when they don't open red, and so forth. And that's something that you may want to watch because it gives you the nuances of that trade. And I can't stress it enough, the value of being able to watch him execute a trade from the beginning to the end and watch him through his process of when he actually decides to move his risk level. That's something that a lot of traders struggle with. Now, I myself sometimes still struggle with that, where I move my risk too soon. He talks about that. Another setup that he discusses is the first red day, which is pretty similar to overextended gap down, but maybe it's a stock that's overextended and then finally goes red for the first time. He shows examples of how to trade that. He also shows a pattern called the short into daily resistance. This pattern, to me personally, does not work for me, like how I trade it. I just was never good at it. However, some people have found success in this. And in just a big picture for you, it's basically shorting a major daily resistance candle / tickers, a candle with volume, right? You look on the daily chart, you find something that has huge volume that was resistance level, and you short into that on this spike, right? So that's something that I actually talked to Tim Grittani about, and he said it's probably one of the hardest strategies within that DVD that is not easy to do. So you don't want to just hear this, me saying short into daily resistance, be like, oh, I got it, done. Because to be honest with you, that's what I used to do when I first watched his DVD, and I watched it and thought I got it down. And then those were the most difficult for me, and I don't really trade those at all, actually. I try to avoid them if I can. And the other setup is OTCs. He loves to short OTCs, and he talks about how that was really his bread and butter to get him to where he is today. And then you start branching out into NASDAQ, and he talks about the challenges and the differences between OTCs and NASDAQ, which is very interesting because if you're trading NASDAQ and you want to dip into OTCs or vice versa, this DVD can give you an idea of the differences and the challenges he had to face when doing so that way you can be better prepared. I can tell you that it's helped me a lot when I do trade OTCs, which is very rare. But when I do, I am much more prepared because of the DVD, and he actually shows you examples, the differences, especially in the level 2, which is a huge difference when it comes to OTC land and NASDAQs. If you do trade that already, you know there's a big difference. You definitely know. And just to give you an idea for those who are like, well, what's the difference? Give me something. It is the stacking action. When a lot of bid stack and a lot of ask stacks, it's a lot different than on the NASDAQ. NASDAQ's a lot of manipulation. Not saying OTC is not manipulation, because it for sure is, but it's very slow, and you can see it and you can judge when to enter using level 2, which is very interesting. Now, one of the long setups, because I've been giving a lot of shorts, is the major daily breakout. Now, this is something very simple. A lot of people know about this. You've probably seen tons of courses, but the difference here is that he actually shows you him trading it, right? He shows you how he enters. He shows you when he enters. Why is he risking a certain level? To him, that's very important because he's been shaken out a lot of times in his trades in the past. And that's why he made this course to show you on longs what makes him comfortable entering and what makes him comfortable staying in it instead of getting shaken out, because he actually went through a huge headache where he was shaken out many times in trades, and he talks about that. Now, I kind of mentioned this earlier, and that is something that I want to bring up again. And this is, he records his screens and then gives live commentary on his trades, his thoughts, what he was thinking and why he was thinking that way. And then he even talks about, I can't believe I did this. I don't know what I was thinking. And you can see him analyze and coach his own self through the trade, which is something very interesting, because when you're a trader, you're going to have to be your own coach. You're going to have to be, giving yourself that confidence, reviewing your trades. And he kind of shows you how he does that. And I'm not sure if he does that on purpose, but it's just something you pick up when you watch this course. And what I mentioned before as well is you get to see him win and you get to see him lose. And a matter of fact, the very beginning, I think he loses the first 2 or 3 trades that he shows you. And when I was watching this, I was like, well, this sucks. He's losing. But he actually showing you, and he actually talks about this, you're going to lose a lot too. You're not just going to win. And you got to be able to handle those losses. I actually had the privilege to interview him on my show, Be the Trader, and love the guy. Great dude. Actually, he still has open communication with me today, which I really appreciate. Thank you, Tim Grittani. And he still loses to this day. So I want you guys to know, especially when you're just entering this journey, you're going to lose, and you're going to lose a lot. The goal is to survive until you find out what works for you. And I think something like this course can help you, at least for sure it helped me, at least identify what you should be looking at, how you should be trading, and a general plan, how to follow it, and what you should be focusing on, and that is the process. So I highly recommend this. It's one of my favorites. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment below. I'm happy to talk with you all. If you have been following me for some time, I really appreciate it. If you like this and enjoy it, please subscribe. And other than that, guys, I really appreciate you guys being here. Take care.